Yeah, I thought you already did that.
Nah, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I'll
no.
do that. Anybody in the class that does not have a Hebrew name that maybe it's your first or second time in the class or something, want to make sure that the officer has your number so that down the line you would like to join the school and become a part of this school, you want to have your role documented. We want to go ahead and speak up now, all right, for the report for the role.
What is this? Slovakia, what was that?
I guess nobody. I know the young man DeAndre is the only person that I heard say something that did not have a Hebrew name. Anybody else in here? All right. With that, I got any troopers in here? Is that Magazar? Oh, why your phone sound like that? Oh, all right. You listening with somebody else or something? Okay. If you gonna read, you gonna have to take me off the speaker. But if not, if you just gonna listen, that's cool. You can just keep it like that. It's not making no feedback or nothing like that. But um, I was gonna ask you to read something. That's why I asked. But you know, any other troopers in the any other troopers in the class?
Slovakia, sir. Trooper, apart.
Trooper Pop.
Phone call.
Hey, shalom.
So, y'all go on, so,
All right, hold on. What I want you to do for me, Trooper Pop, is go to 1 second. Let's get this thing started. First of all, for people on YouTube, this is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, back in 1969. We under commanding General Yohana. All right, we are not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group, any so-called black conscious space. We're not affiliated with Black Lives Matter or anybody else for that matter. All right, we are followers of Christ, the true followers of Christ. We teach the Bible according to the scriptures, and we teach that blacks, Latinos, and so-called Native Americans are true Jews according to the Bible, and that the other nations are your oppressors. They are your enemies. They are in envy of you because the Lord chose you. And the only reason that you're on the bottom throughout all of these different captivities that we've been in is because you refuse to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You refuse to serve the Lord the way you were supposed to. And now, therefore, you have to serve your enemies or your oppressors, as it says in Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right. What we do here every Monday night, everybody can hear me clearly. What we do here every Monday night is we go over what some would call milk. It's some of the basics of what we teach here in the ISUPK. And the reason we do that is because everybody want to be so knowledgeable about the scriptures. Everybody want to be so deep. And the simplest things that's in the Bible, if you can grasp a hold of some of it, right? Just the basics, you can separate yourself from the rest of the world. You can make yourself a part of what the kingdom that the Lord is building right now in the midst of chaos, adversity, and all types of things that's going on in the world. All right, so we come back to the basics every Monday. Teach this. We call it Truth 101. All right, and let me get Isaiah 28. and 9. Trooper Hapop. Isaiah 28 and 9, if you could read that.
This is Isaiah 28, verse 9. Says, whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast.
Keep going.
For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and with another tongue will he speak to his people.
There it is right there. See, what you have to understand is what we've learned about the Bible, we've learned it all, first of all, in a language that it wasn't written in. We learned it from a people that it was never written for, who taught you your history and your book about your God, right? Everything in the Bible is possessive. The Lord talks about his children and him being your God and the God of Israel and the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. But you taught that God was the God of everybody, right? Well, what you have to understand is everything that you thought you understood about the Bible, you have to be taught over again. Now, whom shall he teach the knowledge to? Who is the he? The he is the Most High, that teaches the people that he sends. That's the he. Who they going to teach knowledge to? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Everybody ain't going to understand it. At some point, your family may think you crazy because you following the Bible. Because you're not doing what you used to do. Because you're not being like them, right? At some point, the people at your job or whatever, you tell them you don't eat certain things or you don't celebrate certain holidays. They may think you crazy too, right? Who is he going to make to understand this doctrine? It's them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. Now, this ain't talking about literal titties. This ain't talking about literal breasts. This is talking about it's spiritual. You got to understand it. Like, where do you start at when you're born? You start at the beginning. You're not trying to dissect the whole, steak or a roast or something crazy like that. You're not even trying to, eat hard like vegetables. What you starting at is the basics, which is milk, which is something that's easy to digest, something that you can grasp a hold to and your body can digest and turn it into nutrients, the things you need to live, to grow, and to get stronger. Well, that's what it is in this Bible. It's got to start somewhere. And then as you continue to grow, you learn these basics. Then right now, the precept will be upon precept and line upon line. Then you can stick to what you know. Okay, I know who the devil is. Okay, I know who the children of Israel is. Okay, I know who the Lord is talking to in this. Okay, I know what it says about this. I know some of these laws I never knew. Now I can piece them together with other parts of the Bible and really get an understanding about what's really going on, as opposed to what I thought I knew that somebody taught me. Right? Precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. You cannot read the Bible like it's in order from front to back. Certain things happen before other things. Like even when the Gospels, these things are going through simultaneously from three different people's version of what they telling the story. And me, Nishak, and Shiratazai see the same thing happen. He might point out a detail that I might have missed. I didn't see the brother over there laughing while this was going on. Or I didn't see the dog that passed by while that was going on, or whatever the case may be. Right? So they're going to tell the story different because they're telling it from their point of view. But at the same time, at the end of the day, the Lord has one thing and one thing in mind, and that's total world domination by the people that he chose to lead and rule in the earth. And the problem is always the same. We would rather serve the other nations. We would rather serve drugs and serve whores and serve everything that our body lusts for than to serve the Most High God. And that's our problem. Half part of it is because of the translations. You'll hear people say all types of things that's not in the Bible nowhere that they think is actually in there. And it's based on a mistranslation, different names, all these different things, or whatever the case may be. And that's what we attempt to try to get straight here in this class, all right? We'll start out with any questions. Anybody got any questions?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
All right, I got a question on Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 15.
All right, give me a second. Let me get there. What's the question?
All right, my question is, when it says, and also with him that is not here with us this day, I wanted to know who was that is that Moses is referring to.
All right. Go and get my real sword out. Sometimes my e-sword be acting up a little bit. We said Deuteronomy chapter 29, right?
Verse 15.
In verse 15. All right. Go ahead and start at verse 10.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 29 and verse 10. Ye stand this day, all of you, before the Most High your power, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel. Your little one, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water.
So basically now he's starting this out. Go ahead to read the first little part of verse 2.
And Moses called unto Israel and said unto them.
Read that again.
And Moses called unto all Israel.
That's the part you was missing. He's talking to all of Israel at that point in time, right? And he's being specific here in verse 10. You stand this day, all of you, before the Most High, your power, your captains, of your tribes, your elders, the officers, with all the men of Israel, right? Your little ones, your wives, the stranger that is in our camp, from the hewer of the wood. These are the people that's even serving you. They all there. He's talking to everybody, right? Go ahead to verse 12.
That thou shouldest enter into covenant with the Most High thy power, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day.
So he's talking about the covenant. You know who that covenant involves because you are an officer. If you don't, go ahead and read verse 13.
That he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a God, as he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.
So first of all, the people that he's talking to has to be the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, that's important. Maybe it's not. But it's always important to point that out, especially for people who just, getting into class, who think we might be a little bit over the top with this. We Israelites, we the children of Israel talk. That's who the Bible is for. This is who Moses is talking to. This is who the laws was given to. This is who Christ came for, so on and so forth. Go ahead to verse 14.
Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day.
Keep reading.
For ye know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the nations which ye passed by.
So what he's saying is, this right here is a decree or oath to all the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whether they standing here to hear me, listening right now, or whether they read this 3,000 years from now. Whether they right now here on this side of the Red Sea, or whether they got left over there in Egypt. It don't matter where you at. If you of the children, this covenant applies to you. This oath is for you. So it's saying that people, you know how people say, well, everybody under the sound of my voice, right? He's talking to the people that can't even hear him. He's talking to the Israelites that are not nowhere close to where he's at.
Okay, count on concept.
All right? He talking to you. Was you there when he said it? Maybe. What if you wasn't? You hearing it now. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's just overall, he's basically saying to the ones that's standing right here in front of me and to the ones that might have went off to go, you know, do some work or do this or find some food or whatever the case may be, to collect manna, whatever. This is the oath right here. And this is for you, whether you standing here with us today or for you people that's to come, for your babies, 3 generations down who hear this. This is the same oath.
Okay, count on concept.
What you thought it was saying? Just so I know if I'm answering your question correctly.
I'm not sure what, like, when I seen it say with him that is not here with us this day, I couldn't understand like who he was talking about. I figured like forefathers or something, but I couldn't figure it out. Like,
yeah, the people who was gone and the people who was coming back, the people who was there and the people who was not there. He just making a generalization that he's talking to everybody.
Okay,
from the tribes of Israel. Let me say it like that. Not everybody on earth, but all of the people that are under Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, common concept, and that's the people who also died and came back. That's like you can use it in that sense as well.
I wouldn't use it that way. You can, but it don't say that. You know what I'm saying? This ain't necessarily one that I would use for reincarnation, because it'll be kind of like you making it fit there. He's not necessarily saying that. He could just be talking about those, like I said, those that's not standing right in front of him as he's saying this.
Okay, common concept.
Right? But the bottom line is he was talking to all of the children. Remember he said, you have sworn to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So he's talking to all the children of Israel.
Okay, common concept. Most High in Christ, the water, sir.
Most High in Christ. All right. Next question. Anybody else got any questions? What was that, Magazar?
I'm gonna let the art go first.
Why, you ain't ready?
I'm ready.
I ain't called the Ark name.
Alright, I need a breakdown on Revelation 3 and 20. And my question is, when he explained about, I just want to know if that's him saying that it's an understanding that, hold on, sloppy. I get to it right quick. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Did you get that breakdown that you asked for last week? About the lion. About the lion. All right. Let's get that first. And also, you and Nishak asked questions about. One of them asked about Daniel, and Officer Nishak asked a question about Revelations. I believe it's that way or the other way around. last time, yesterday. Did y'all get those questions answered with when Captain Shawar Yala came in?
Salakia, it was all of a sudden the Shaw had asked about Daniel and I asked about Revelation.
Yeah, but they was like similar. They were similar questions. It was similar topics. Nashad, you got that answer?
I asked the question. Otherwise, said that we would get back to me, or I could ask the question.
Okay, but no, but I'm saying, but you did ask him, is what I'm asking.
Sir.
Okay, all right. Now, I was interested to see, what his answer was for it, or if he had one, or if it was something that he needed to take to the general, or whatever the case may be. If you could, send me the text, and I'll see if I can't get it answered. I'll try another captain and see, and then worst case scenario, we'll try to get it answered on Thursday. All right.
Sir.
All right. All right. So, what was the one with the lion, Magazar? Was that 12 or 13?
I have to find it again.
Yeah, it's I believe it's Revelations 13.
It's Revelation 13 and 2.
All right. So, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me get there. Let's go ahead and get that one. I did get the general did answer it. All right, so when you didn't ask the question of what most people ask, which is Revelations 13 and 1, where the 7 heads and the 10 horns, and all of these are the countries that came up out of Rome. For instance, like the 10 horns, it'll talk about all these different countries. He named those if you want to go back. But for your question, it was in verse number 2. It said, "And I stood up upon the sands of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns." This is not a literal beast. It's talking about a nation and 10 and the governments that was across that, and the 10 smaller nations that came up out of it, right? And upon the 10 crowns, and upon his head, the name blasphemy. Most officers will have this written down, who the 7 head and the 10 horns, because a lot of people ask that, but that's not the question you asked. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, right? And he was saying the leopard represented Greece, right? This Alexander that came out of Greece, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. The bear represented the Persians. If you look, the Persians, which is a whole separate captivity that we was in, and out of his mouth a lion, in which the lion was modern day they would call it Iraq, but it was Babylon. And if you even look back, he explained how, it go back, they got a winged lion as they little on their little seal or whatever the case may be, and the different things like that. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and his authority. The dragon would be the oppressor, the so-called white man, who empowered Greece and Persia and also Babylon. All right. All right, I just wanted to get that information because I did have that written down, and I didn't want to lose the notes or put it somewhere, and then you come back and ask that question. Now back to Revelation chapter 3, which is what you asked about. The question was what?
Was he talking about understanding in Revelation 3 and 20?
Hold on 1 second. Let me get there. All right. Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. Let me see. Scroll down. Start at verse 18.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 18. I counsel. Salakia. That's right.
Yeah, counsel.
Counsel. Salakia. I counsel thee to buy of me gold, tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with
eye salve,
that thou mayest see.
Now, any carnal person would look at this and think he's actually talking about money or clothes or whatever the case may be, right? But if you go back up and this is verse 16, and this is one thing that we teach here in the truth. You cannot be backwards and forwards with the Lord. You can't be on one day and then off the next day. Else it'll take you too long to fight the demons that you have on you, as opposed to you waking up every day ready to fight and get them demons off you. All right. So it says, verse 15, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou wert cold or hot. Okay, so if you understand this life, it's a test, right? What they you don't want to be on the fence, right? You don't want to be that person that I'm kind of, you want to either, and here in the truth, you got to be a fanatic about following Christ, about serving the Lord, about not serving your oppressor, not serving your woman, not serving drugs, not serving yourself, not serving your slavery or your money or whatever the case may be, right? You got to be a fanatic about serving the Most High God, which includes following the law, statutes, and commandments, to the point that sometimes you're going to piss some people off. Sometimes you're going to let some people down because they want you to be like everybody else, and you so hardcore, you so One West, you so about that life that you cannot do what everybody else does, right? Is it a big deal that you don't, you know what I'm saying, go to the 4th of July? It's just a cookout. What's the problem? What's the big deal? Is it such a big deal that you don't celebrate these holidays? Is it such a big deal that you don't, get your child or your mama something for Mother's Day? Is it? To you, it is, because you're hot, right? If you cold or you lukewarm, I ain't gonna make no big deal out of it because it ain't no big deal. I'll just go, but I ain't gonna be involved, or I ain't gonna do this, or I ain't gonna do that. What the Lord wants for you is that you to choose and pick a side. Are you with him? And the scriptures say, choose ye this day, whether you're gonna serve the gods that your father served before the flood, or you gonna serve the Most High, the creator of heaven and earth. You can do whichever one you want to do, but just pick a side. Don't be like halfway on board to following the Lord. And then every time something happens, like it's done been plenty of people, they'll come in the truth, but let's say they lose their job or something like that. Now all of a sudden, they ain't rocking with the Most High no more. Or they lose their woman, or they lose their house, or they lose their car, or they lose something, or anything bad happens to them. All of a sudden, they ain't rocking with the Lord no more. You don't want to be like that. right? That's what this is talking about in verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. This ain't talking about literally being in no. This is what the Lord is saying to his people. Since you won't really pick a side, like you want to halfway serve the Lord will spit you out. He will get you out of here. He will find a way for you to leave the truth and just go back and serve yourself and be whatever you wanted to be in the beginning. Because you ain't 100% down. The Lord don't want people who halfway down. I remember in a rap song, I think it was Mystical, say, if you're going to be down with me and be all the way down or get from around me. That's how the Lord is saying it right here. Right? I will spew thee out of my mouth. Verse 17, because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. Remember what Satan told the Lord about Job. He's like, yeah, he down with you now, but just as sure as you stop covering him up, just as sure as you stop blessing him like you blessing him and keeping him, he'll curse you to your face. This is Satan saying the same thing about you. And look at it. You ain't got half the stuff Job did. You barely making it. And he's saying the same thing. Just take some more away from him and watch what he do. Just put some more opportunities for him to sin in his way and watch what he do. Right? He's saying you thinking that you got it going on, not knowing you miserable and poor and blind and naked. And this is not literal, but it can be. This is what the brother just read. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire. What is that gold? Anybody? Who is that? Trooper Mashamar? Go ahead. La. Anybody else? All right. The gold is what you're doing right now. The gold is the truth. The gold is wisdom. The gold is knowledge. It's the law, statutes, and commandments. It's the counsel that the Lord will give you that nobody else will give you. It's the counsel of saying to you, like, I don't care about your feelings. This is the right thing to do. Do this. Right? That's the counsel he's talking about. He's saying, I'm telling you, try me. Like, this word, the word of the Most High has been tried in the fire. They've been trying to down talk and say that God ain't God and his power ain't all powerful and he ain't this and he ain't that. And they basing it on people who don't really follow the Most High at all. Their power is fake. Their God is fake. But the God that saved Daniel in the lion's den, you know what I'm saying? The God that raised the dead and healed the sick, he's real. What's the difference? The difference is people pretending that they believe in him and not following a thing that they do. That's why we separate ourselves from the church. That's why we separate ourselves from fake Israelites. That's why we separate ourselves from Islam and all these other religions and all these other fake gods, because we actually believe in following and serving the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the way he said do it. This is what he's talking about. This is the truth. That thou mayest be rich. He ain't talking about with money. It's talking about now you have the knowledge of the truth and white raiment, that thou may be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness does not appear. This the same nakedness is talking about with Adam and Eve once they sinned against the Most High. Then went to cover themselves up with the doctrines of the other nations. He's saying you need to get this truth, right? And anoint thy eyes with eye salve that thou might see. So in other words, he's saying this truth is going to allow you to have other things that other people cannot attain. It'll allow you to look better and be better than other people are. And it'll allow you to see things other people can't see. This is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the law, statutes, and commandments. Go to the next verse. Trooper, you there? Go ahead to verse 19.
Verse 19. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent.
As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Right? This is the reason why people are lukewarm when it comes to the Most High. Because they want the riches, they want the blessings, they want all the things that come with it. They want the clout, they want the rank, but they don't want the rebuke and the chastening. They don't want the love, right? It's like your son. I want a car. I want $100. I want this. I want that. I want the new Jordans, but not willing to do the work that it takes to get it. Not willing to respect you. Not willing to respect his elders. Not willing to do those things that you raised him up and showed him how to do, or her, right? That's what it is. As many as I love, the people that I really love, I rebuke them. I'm going to tell you where you're wrong. I'm going to chasten you. I'm going to chastise you as the men above me do me, as your father should do you, as our father is doing us right now. That's why we're at the bottom in America. So be zealous, therefore. Do it with some zeal. Know what I'm saying? Don't be slack. Don't be half-stepping when it comes to doing the work of the Most High, or getting in the truth, or learning something, or serving God. Be zealous about it and repent. Change from who you were. The Lord is asking you to make a choice. That's what he's talking about. Don't be cold, or don't be lukewarm. Be cold or hot. You like, hey, look, I ain't with that. You know what I'm saying? I understand what y'all saying, but I ain't really on that. Make that choice. Or be all on board. Don't play around with it. Why? Verse 20, read it. Magazor, let's go.
Verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. Keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
To him that I overcometh will
read that again. Read that again.
To him that I overcometh.
Read it again.
To him that I overcometh.
Ain't no I there. You say I in your book?
To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcome and am set down with the Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
You see that, right? Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to verse 20. This is the one you had the question about. He says, Salakia. Verse 20. It says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Right? If any man have an ear, no, Salakia. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and him with me. Basically, the Lord ain't going to hold you hostage in something, right? He's not going to beg you to be a part of what he got going on. You either feel it or not. Christ said the same thing. Now, if you're reading this in the Bible, these words are read. So Christ is saying this. He also said, my sheep hear my voice. They know when their Lord is talking to them. Ain't no woman finna say, you my Lord, you my Savior, you my Ottawa, you my protector, you my defense, you my head, you all of this other stuff, and then not know who you are, not know your voice, not listen to what you saying. This is what Christ is saying. I'm trying to give you something, right? I want you to be on top. I want to raise you back up to where the Lord wanted you to be. But you gotta do what I'm telling you to do. Because I'm going to rebuke you. I'm going to chasten you. And you need to be zealous and you need to repent. I'm going to stand at the door and knock. I ain't going to kick down your door and just come in and say, oh, you going to serve me. Now, we will do that in the kingdom. But Christ is not doing that right now. He's giving you the choice to make. What side you going to be on? Right? It's not about east or west. What Pac says, which side are you on?
Right.
Make a choice.
I like that, sir.
Make a choice. 1 second. That's what this is all about. This is about making a choice. Are you going to serve the Lord or are you going to serve yourself? Are you going to serve the Lord or are you going to serve an idol? Right? He's not going to kick down the door and make you follow him. But if you open the door, he gonna come in and he bringing stuff in with him. He bringing food in with him. We gonna sit down. We gonna chop it up. We gonna get on the same page because I want you to have a throne. That's what he's saying in verse 21. Right? I'm gonna sit down. We gonna chop it up, and you gonna eat with me. To him that overcometh, will I grant to sit with me in my throne. I'm going to be king over the entire earth. Thus saith the Lord. Now, if you want a part in that rulership, then what you got to do is follow me. You got to let me break it down to you. You got to get an understanding, and you got to shut your mouth, and you got to do all of this. This is what Christ is saying. Don't sit down and play like you down with me, but you're not really down. And those that is down, overcoming is overcoming yourself. Remember what he's talking about in verse 15. What he's talking about in verse 17. You think you got it going on. You think you got money. You think you tight, but really you are poor and blind and naked. You could overcome yourself and what you believe you are and realize that you ain't nothing. Now you have an opportunity to sit with the Lord and be everything. All right. And he said, and I will grant to sit with me on my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Just saying, like, if you can grasp what I'm saying, then it's meant for you. The Lord is giving it to you. So that's the breakdown of it. He's talking about wisdom. He's talking about the law, statutes, and commandments. But when he's talking about sitting down and sup with you and sup with me, it's like we being on the same page. It's like we vibing. It's like we understand each other. It's what they call it, seeing eye to eye, being on the same page. That's what he's talking about. All right. Magazar, you understand? All right, go ahead. Who's that? Trooper.
This is Moses.
Oh, okay. You sound like Trooper Gabar. Go ahead, Moses.
I remember when I was in the church, the same verse that he pulled, I was talking to the church member about that. I said, if Jesus Christ comes and knock at your door right now, if you will be able to recognize him, they can enter. They couldn't enter that. Now I understand your breakdown, I understand everything. You know, this is amazing.
Most High Christ. And here's the crazy part about it, right? It's not really that we so smart or intelligent. It's what he's talking about when he's talking about knocking at your door. He's basically saying, like, all this information has been here, right? It's when it say he that have an ear, let him hear. Everybody got ears, right? It's talking about you, the Lord, granting you the understanding to understand what's really going on in the scriptures. Right? Because I could say this to somebody and they'll be like, nah, that sounds crazy. He's talking about, you know what I'm saying, Jesus Christ not going. First of all, for most Christians, if Jesus Christ knock on their door, they're going to be like, nigga, you ain't Jesus. I know what Jesus looked like. He right there up on my wall. Right. So talk about recognizing him. Nah, they're definitely not gonna recognize him because they're looking for Cesare Borgia. Cesare Borgia. Caesar. They're looking for Caesar Borgia.
Right.
The picture that they have on their wall. They're not looking for the revolutionary, the man that Christ was, the one that they had to kill before he overthrew by just using his words. All right. All right.
Right.
So Most High in Christ. I'm glad you understood that. It got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? It's the scriptures has always been there. But you remember how the brother asked the question? It was in verse 20. What happens is a lot of people, when we read the Bible, they'll take it and just read one verse and think they can break it down. You have to go a little bit up. You got to get context and everything in order to understand the Bible. And that's the only way you're going to understand it. All right. Now, who was the other brother that had a question when Magazar asked this question that says Salakia? Who was the brother he said he was going to let go first, and then I told him to go ahead? All right, Magazar, put your phone on mute out. Go ahead, DeAndre. What was your question out?
I want to ask in Matthew 24, how did we get from verse 2 to like verse 6? I'm not understanding what's going on here in verse 2. Matthew 24, verse 2, it says, in Jesus' name.
Hold on one second now. 1 second. Let me get there with you. Your question is what's going on? Like you missed how we get from verse 2 to verse 6. Like what they got to do with each other or something like that? All right. This is a very I guess I use the word famous. I don't know. Familiar scriptures. People like talking about this right here and bringing it up. Hold on 1 second. Let me get there with you. Go ahead and start at verse 1.
Matthew 24, verse 1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Okay, Salaki, stop right there. Now, this is one thing, like you're saying. This is one thing that he's saying, right? And he's particularly talking about all of the stuff that they had over in Jerusalem at that time, all of the things that they had built, these great buildings and altars and all of this stuff, that it was going to, he knew that all of this stuff was going to be overturned, right? But as you go into verse 3, now they're asking him another question. All right, so when you go into verse 3, it's kind of totally different from what he's talking about in verse 2. Go ahead and read verse 3.
Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?
So everything from here down is an answer to this question. But verse 1 and 2 is just setting the tone. Like, okay, he departed from the temple. Now him and the brothers is chopping it up. The disciples, they just sit there and they asking him questions now, right? First of all, they ain't asking him a question in verse 2. They were just showing him, like, look at the buildings we got here. Look at all the other stuff that they building around. And he just threw that out there. You know what I'm saying? You can see all of this stuff. I'm telling you, ain't none of this going to be here, right? It's all going to be torn down, right? So now they asking, what shall be the sign of that coming in the end of the world? Now, remember that world got layers, right? When people hear the end of the world, it's saying the end of the society or age, the end of that particular thing that's going on, okay? Now we have to put it in context with what's the end of the world as far as where we at now, right? but it's going to be the same thing that was the end of that world. It's going to be the same thing that was the end of Babylon and the end of Assyria and the end of Egypt. All of this happened, right? All of the things that Christ is going to talk about, you can read about it happening in right before the Exodus, before we exited, before Christ was even born. So Christ is just bringing to their attention what's going to happen before the end of the world that they're talking about, right? So now when you keep reading, go ahead to verse 4.
And Yahweh shall answer and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
So here's one thing that's going to happen, right? That's going to be a sign of my coming, or be a sign of the end of the world. And Christ just goes in and breaking, like, make sure that nobody don't fool you. Make sure nobody don't pull no wool over your eyes. Don't sell you a wooden nickel. Make sure nobody don't deceive you. Don't get nobody to lie to you, right? Because there's going to be a bunch of people that's going to say, I'm down with Christ. I'm with Christ. I serve the Lord. I love the Lord. And all of this. And they're going to deceive many, right? And along with that, along with people pretending like they love the Lord, that they're serving Christ and they're part of the body of Christ. Verse 5. Go ahead and read that.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So he's telling them all of the things that's going to happen, right? But he's saying this is not the end of that world. These things have to happen before the end will even come. So in verse 6, he's breaking down what's going to be the signs of that coming in the end of the world. In verse 2, he's just breaking down that none of that stuff is going to be there. Basically, he's talking about 70 AD, right? And with all of it, he's still you can go into different captivities in the end. Anytime a society or a world, right, age or society is getting ready to end in another one, you're going to hear all of this. He was talking about a specific one, but you can use it manifold. You can use it in more than one. In any society, you're going to hear about the wars. You're going to hear about the earthquakes, the pestilences, all of the things that Christ was naming. That's how you know it's the end of a world, because it's unrest. It's got to be lifted up off of, everything is beautiful and sweet and there ain't no problems. Like when you look at movies like Independence Day or something like that, you'll think that everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, boom, now we're fighting aliens and all of this other stuff. But Christ is saying before all of this happens, you'll hear about all of this stuff. And it has nothing really to do with verse number 2. It's two different things going on.
Sir.
All right. Any other questions?
Rocky, sir.
Go ahead.
I have a question on 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 to verse 2. My question is, I really, okay. I hear a lot of Christians, they try to pull this, that multiple wives is unlawful. So I just don't understand how to explain it when it says, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband.
Okay. Understood. So, I mean, what's jamming you up? Let every woman have her own husband?
Let every man have his own wife. That part. And let every woman have her own husband.
I was about to say, how does every man have his own wife? How is that possible to jam you up? It's got to be to let every woman have her own husband, right?
Yeah, that's the second part.
All right. First thing, before we even get to it, right? what you got to understand about marriage. Marriage is spiritual, right? It is not spiritual to you understand that? Marriage is carnal to women because women are by nature more into their feelings than men are, right? Okay, so to a woman, he sees this means it's my husband. She should go get her own husband, right? That's how a Christian would. Now think about it like this: somebody Google the ratio of men to women in the earth, the ratio of men to women on earth, and tell me what the numbers are. Come on with it. Shakar, in the meantime, you give me verse 1 so we can see what the context is.
In the first book of Corinthians, chapter 7 and verse 1. Now concerning the things where he wrote unto me, it is good for a man.
Sound like it's going down in Miami, huh?
Yeah, all right.
No justice, no peace. Go ahead, it's a like it.
Oh, God. It is good for a man not to touch a woman.
That's the
Nevertheless,
that's what it's saying, right? That's what he's talking about. So this is the backdrop of everything. Somebody let me know when you get that ratio, the ratio of women and men on the planet Earth. All right, what's the ratio?
The ratio for the entire world population is 101 males to 100 females. Depending upon which definition you choose between 0.1% and 1.7% live births.
So for every 100 and that's a crazy number. Do it in America, maybe they'll give you a smaller number than that. Because you gotta think if it's billions, right? And it's 100 to every 100 women, it's 101 men. Okay, what about 1,000? That's 10. So what about 10,000? That's, you see what I'm saying? You keep going, whatever. I want the ratio. Is it saying the ratio? Like 2 to 1 or 3 to 1? Go ahead.
This is men to women ratio in North America. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there were 161 million males in the United States in 2013 versus 166.1 million males.
Is that
ratio?
Is that more women than men or more men than women?
More women.
It's more women than men. Okay, on an easier way to understand it, it's at least 3 to 1, right? Let's say 2 to 1. Let's say if it was 2. Go ahead.
2 to 1.
Okay. By ratio, that's 2 to 1, right? So for every man, one man, there's 2 women. That's just on the planet, period. Okay? You're talking about the children of Israel. So now you got 2 million black Hispanic men incarcerated. You got the gay rights activists, the trans men, the transgender, all the men that ain't here. Here's the point. Everybody you know got a daughter. That's my point. All right. Okay, so just by those numbers alone, if it's 2 to 1, how can every woman have her own husband? some women don't have a husband then, if that's the case, right? Ain't no husband that was even created for them. You see what I'm saying, Shakar? Shakar, you still in the truth?
Pretty clear right now.
Huh?
Pretty clear right now.
All right, so let me give you some precepts so you understand. All right. Give me let me see here. Got a couple of them. Give me John chapter 4 and verse 16. Let's start there. And we'll come back here.
Okay.
Let me get.
I got it.
Go ahead.
John chapter 4, verse 16.
Let me get there with you. Hold on one second. Let me get there with you. John chapter 4, verse 16. Let me make sure that's where I want you to start at. Give me verse 15.
I don't want contract. John chapter 4, verse 15. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua said unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come here. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. And that saidest thou truly.
All right, so break this down for me, Priest and Officer Shakar.
Okay,
let me give you the context already. He's talking to a Samaritan woman. He told her to give her some water. To give him some water. She like, well, we know the Jews don't have nothing to do with us, right? Even back then, they was practicing social distancing from all the other nations, even in Christ's time, right? So he's like, but this water, if you knew who I was, you would give me some water. I got the water that, he that drinketh the water that I should give shall never thirst. She like, okay, give me some of this water. Now let's start from there. That's verse 15.
Okay, so Yahushua told you, go call thy husband. The woman says she has no husband, right? So when she said, when he says, I said, well, I have no husband, he's trying to say, right, you don't have one husband. Like, she can't have more than one husband, like, once she has sex with another man, she's now a whore. That man is married to her. Now she has one husband. That's why he says in verse 18, Thou hast had 5 husbands. And he whom thou now has is not thy husband.
What does he mean by he who thou now has is not thy husband?
That she can't be married to multiple men at the same time.
So what about the one now? About what you're saying about the one now, to now, or she's with now? Ain't he her husband because the other person ain't her husband no more? One second, Moses.
Could you repeat what you said?
I said, so how is he saying that the one she with now isn't her husband if the one she's with now is her husband and therefore the other ones are not her husband anymore?
I'm not sure, sir. I
All right.
don't know.
To a woman in the world, is sex marriage?
Oh, nah, sir.
To a woman in the world, sex is not marriage. To a whore who sleeps with different men every night, is that marriage?
Nah.
If you ask a whore who sleeps with different men every night, is she married or does she have a husband? Or tell her, let me speak to your husband, what is she going to say?
She doesn't have a
She don't have a husband. But she had 5 husbands yesterday. And the one she got now, she'll say that that's not her husband either. Chew on that for a minute. Chew on that for a minute. Give me Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 23. I gotta let me see if that's in my book. Let's see if that's in my book. Ecclesiasticus 26 and 23. Somebody give me that. Nah.
26 and verse 23. Oh, God.
Go ahead.
Oh, God. A wicked woman is given a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord.
Right. What does this tell you about marriage? Go ahead.
Oh, does it mean marriage is spiritual?
Marriage is spiritual, right? But remember what I said at the beginning. Not to a sister. To a, I seen this I don't know, it was a show on TV and it was like, well, could you deal with a man if he was broke? And it was like, yeah, I helped the brother get his feet, da 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 da. Could you deal with a man if he was ugly? Yeah, I could we could, get him fixed up, and as long as he treat me right and all of this other stuff, deal with a man if the sex is bad. No, every one of them. No. Why is that? Go ahead. They ain't say if he treat me right, or we can fix him up, or we can make it. But they said no. Every last one of them. Go ahead, Shakar.
Because they're all thinking about it themselves.
Absolutely, it's not spiritual when it comes to a woman. This is why women have such a hard dealing with like multiple wives and different things like that. This is my toy, and I don't want nobody to play with my toy. It's mine. You can have all my money, you can have this, you can borrow my car, but you cannot deal with my toy, my husband, So when a woman sees that, she thinks of her own. But marriage is spiritual. This is what Christ was cutting a woman at. He's calling her a whore. It ain't spiritual to her. She's like, I ain't got no husband. What are you talking about? He like, yeah, you had 5 husbands, and the one that you with now, you wouldn't even say he your husband, right? But marriage is really spiritual. A wicked woman is given in portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. Here's the thing. Sometimes you don't know till you get them. To us, right? We pick women. Women pick men. But the Lord has picked somebody for you. Let me repeat that. Human beings, people, pick women, pick men, but the reality is the Lord picks people for you. And most people don't take the time to get to know a person to find out if this person is the person that the Lord picked for you, if this is somebody you pick for yourself. Half the time, I talk about this all the time. Brothers I know don't find out that they hate they rib until they already got 3 babies with them, because they don't take the time to get to know that person, to see if your spirit is vibing with their spirit, to see if you and them are on the same page, if y'all have the same aspirations, the same goals, if y'all believe in the same thing. Give me Amos chapter 3 and verse 2. And then we'll go back to the scripture you have. I just want to lay a little backdrop on what you was asking. Go ahead. Go ahead. Whoever read. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 2. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
We read this all the time, right? In the scriptures, and it's talking about the children of Israel, and the Lord is talking to them. But listen what he says next. Read the next verse.
Now, God, can two walk together except they be agreed?
Read it again.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Read it again.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Y'all gotta be on the same page. This is the Ecclesiastes 26 says, 23 says, the wicked woman is given a portion to a wicked man. They're on the same type of time. They agree, right? But a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. Now, this is talking about you actually getting with the type of person you need to be with, the type of person that the Lord will pick you up, your wife that the Lord chooses for you, right? But a man can choose any woman. But all the hell and all this other stuff gonna come along with it. Brothers choose the wrong woman all the time. How many brothers out here married the heathens when the Lord already told you not to do it because you choosing your own woman? General Hyman was talking about it last night on in the Houston class, where he was like, the worst thing a woman can do is choose her mate herself without getting anybody else that cares about her to actually co-sign, like a father figure or big brother or something like that. Right? In other words, you choose people, and then the Lord has a husband or a wife that he's chosen for you. You get that part, Shakar, right? All right. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. This is talking about the husband or the wife that the Lord chose for you, not all the husbands or all the wives that you choose for yourself. You understand?
Oh, okay, calm, yeah, that makes a lot more sense when you went through all that.
I ain't gonna speak for myself, Salakia, but I'll just say it's a lot of brothers that have chose wives for themselves that the Lord didn't choose for them. It's a lot of sisters that chose husbands for themselves. But he's talking to people that are in the truth. This is the reason you got a 6 month to a year rule. You can find out whether or not this is the person that the Lord chose for you, or she just looked good on that picture looking you want, or he just looked good on that Instagram photo, or he just, you see what I'm saying? This is what this is talking about. Now you can read it with a little insight about marriage and him being, now he's speaking spiritually. He's not speaking on a carnal vibe, which is what you'll get reading this in the Christian church. So go ahead and start from verse 1 again.
First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 1. Now
Carnally, now,
Nevertheless,
carnally, what he just said, is that true? Carnally.
carnally,
Carnally.
if it's true, no.
Absolutely not. God forbid. This is not true. Carnally. So you know the brother is speaking from a spiritual standpoint. Why would he even say that? Because of the work that he was trying to get done, because of the raising up of the tribes, because of the saving of the nation, because of the work that need to be done. You know how many brothers would be in here if it wasn't for their rib? You know how many brothers would be all on board and be willing to give up their Saturdays and go out and wake up their people and giving up they, you know, you got to give up the day before or the night before. You got to teach a class or this, that, or the other. Because you're not able, you don't want to be unclean while you doing the work of the Lord or the work of a priest. It's different things that come along with living this life. And it would be good spiritually for a man not to touch. But he understands that we are carnal beings. That's why he said, nevertheless. Nevertheless. Read verse 2.
Oh God. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication.
To avoid what?
Fornication.
What does that mean?
Anything that's unlawful sex.
Any unlawful sex. This is like you have those so-called Catholic priests who don't sleep with women, but they sleep with all the little boys and the little girls in the church. This is for, you know, those preachers that molest the little kids or that sleep with other men's wives or that do all of this other stuff. This is for these people in these so-called fake Israelite groups that's talking about they're going to take hold of white women and do all this other stuff, and they're bringing and joining themselves up onto heathens and different things like that to avoid all of the things that are unlawful when it comes to a man and where he put his penis, or a woman and who she gives a box to, or what she does with herself. To avoid that, go ahead.
Let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
Let the man be joined to the woman that the Lord picks for him, and let the woman be joined to the man that the Lord picks for her. To flee unlawful sex. You got to think about it like this. You can marry whoever you want to marry. You got 5 husbands, and the one you're with now, he ain't yours. You got 5 wives, and none of them going to stay with you. Because you are not with the one, or the 2, or the 3, or the single, or whatever the case may be. Whatever your job is on this planet. A lot of brothers come in and they know that you can have more than one wife, but the Lord ain't wanted to give them but one. A lot of brothers come in here, they want one wife, and the Lord gives them 3, 5. A lot of sisters come in here, they had 5 husbands, and then they come in and find their real husband. A lot of sisters come in here, they have a husband, and they want another man that's in the truth, and their husband that the Lord gave them is not in the truth. To flee fornication, to avoid sleeping with people that you're not supposed to sleep with, you need to find your wife. You need to find your husband. That's what this is saying. You understand or no? You get it? Not only that, let's go to verse 3. Let's do that. Let's not skip over that.
Verse 3. Right. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
You gotta sleep with your rib. You gotta give it to her, or else you pushing that woman into fornication. The whole purpose is so you won't have unlawful sex. That's the point. Do it the way the Lord said do it. All right. Somebody said something. Oh, give her some. Yeah, say Salakia. Say Salakia next time. Give her some. That's right. Give him some. Verse 4. Verse 4.
The wife has not power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise, also the husband has not power of his own body, but the wife.
There it is. Now, to somebody who's still carnal, they would think like that means the wife can tell the husband what to do with that. No, that just means he has to give her some. All right. You clear on this or no?
No, I'm 100% on it now.
All right, Most High in Christ. Now, whoever you talking to ain't gonna take the time. You know how we just took about 30 minutes? We went through a couple of other scriptures. We explained what Christ was saying to the woman. We broke down the Ecclesiasticus. We went through can two walk together lest they be agreed. I could have gave you the definition of marriage, which is talking about continuing sexual intercourse and all of this other different things. It would have broke it down, but that's a whole nother class, right? Nobody that's saying this to you is willing to sit there and to understand what this is actually saying, because they already know. If they bringing it to you, they already know, and ain't nothing you gonna be able to do to tell them. It's no different than the bishop and the one with the horses. A king shall not multiply horses unto himself. When they got it in their mind that they right, there's nothing you can say that's going to change their mind. No matter what's in the Bible, no matter what the dictionaries say, no matter what this means and that means, and the word in Hebrew and all of this other stuff we do, we study. So I broke it down for you. But try that with a Christian. Try it. It's not gonna work. Try that with your wife. It's not going to work out. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? What? Yeah. They're not gonna hear what you're saying. They don't care what Christ said in another scripture and what this means and what marriage is all about and what he said before that and after that. Right here. They don't care about the fact that it's 2 women to every man in America, and every woman don't have her own wife. They don't care about her. I got mine, and you mine. Better go get her own. You get that, right? All right, Most High Christ. Next question. Most High Christ, like I ain't doing that. Next question.
I like that.
Go ahead, Moses.
When they talking about the tribe of Islam is a king master, that means he find us, and that means they come and different color, different shades.
What this is talking about, if you go to the scripture, it's talking about Ephraim mixing themselves amongst the nations, right? You got to think, like when it talks about most of the tribes, they're different shades of brown, right? When it's talking about Ephraim, now you remember you had the nation, or you had Judah and you had Israel, and Ephraim was basically like the head, the chief tribe or whatever, what have you, over the 9.5 tribes over the northern kingdom, right? When it's talking about Ephraim, it means they mix themselves with the other nations, meaning Ephraim loves to deal with the other nation. I know I lived in Orlando, and I used to talk to so-called Puerto Ricans all the time. I didn't know anything about being the children of Israel at the time, but what I did know is I felt the vibe that came from the Ephraimites that I did speak with, where they wanted to be white. They wanted to be anything but like niggas. They didn't want to be associated with Dominicans. They didn't want to be associated with none of the Mexicans. They didn't